Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Star B, and today we will be talking about the worlds in my tradition. I think I mentioned this in my welcome to my channel video, or however I titled it, but I practice a Neotradition that is based on ancestral traditions of myself and the folk magic of my region, as well as some other elements, but it's mostly those things. I practice that Neo-Tradition, and within that Neo-Tradition, I don't think I mentioned this in the welcome video, so we're straying away from that, but there are 6 worlds, not including a crossroads of them all, the kind of center. And today we're going to be talking about those 6 worlds, kind of an overview layout, because I think I'm going to do a series on the 6 worlds. Yeah. So let's start with the general, if you see it get dark, it's the clouds, by the way. But let's start with the general layout of the worlds, like kind of their position, I guess. So, like I mentioned, there are 6 of them in again, this is all my belief, my tradition. You can believe completely differently, you can disagree, whatever. But there are 6 worlds, and each of them correspond with a direction. So the directions are forward, backward, left, that's probably your right, that's probably your left, above, and below. Now, these directions are very important to me in my tradition, and basically make up a lot of things, including the worlds. So, okay, you may be wondering, Starby, what are the worlds then? I'll get into it. So let's start with our world. Our world is on the right. I had to do this because I still can't get my lefts and rights right. On the right, again, that's going to be your left in the video, but it's on the right. And essentially, our world, I don't need to explain this one too much because it's our world. We should know how it functions. We should know what it's like here. But basically it is of the right, and it is of the element. This is also where things get kind of unique and funky, of cold. And you may be saying to yourself, that's not an element. It is to me. So, the tradition I work with, we do not do fire, earth, water, air. All respect to those. But instead we have 6 elements, and they are air, soil, heat, cold, energy, and stillness. And our world is of the cold element, which is about destruction, division, and other cold things. I could go on forever about what the cold element means. That's a whole different video, which I'm not going to explain the cold element too much again, because it's our world, the right world, and we live in it. So yeah. So let's go backward, or not backward, below. I don't know why I said backward. Let's go below and talk about the underworld. The underworld is definitely not ruled by air. It is below, the direction of below, obviously, and it is ruled by soil, which I guess kind of makes sense. Now, the underworld is an interesting place because if you go in there, sorry if you hear my knuckles cracking, but if you go in there, it's a cave system pretty much, made of dirt, not of rocks, of dirt, and water. There's also a lot of water there. So the underworld is interesting because the dirt element is, again, let me make something clear. All worlds have all the elements. We don't just have cold and they don't just have soil and so on and so on. It's just ruled by one element. So the underworld is ruled by soil. And what's interesting about soil is it is the element of dirtiness, taboo, and unconventionality, and also just messiness and difficult things. It is the element of literal dirt, but also more so like just dirty. Like I said, dirtiness and messiness and unclean. It's taboo. It's like all that stuff. So the people, the inhabitants of that place kind of reflect that, and so does the landscape. It has literal soil, like I mentioned. And yes, I will get more into other stuff about the whole worlds later. Who lives there, you may be asking? Who lives there is, I like to call them imps. There's not really a good word for them because they're just not. But imps is the closest word I would use. Imps and, like, water imps. I don't know. Water demons. Like, it's kind of crazy down there. Not as crazy as our world, though. We're kind of crazy. We have that reputation, I've learned. But I'm getting off track, sorry. That's the underworld. Again, soil below. Then we'll move to the backward world. We'll go backward to the backward world. Ha ha ha. Sorry. And that is the element of stillness. Now, the element of stillness is interesting because it although it may seem like kind of self-explanatory, it's a really complex element. The element of stillness is about many things, and it can be about many things. It can be stability as well as depression. It can be peace as well as deep unsettlement. It can be so many things that seem contradicting, but all come together in stillness. Now, stillness, the backwards world, or the still world, whatever you want to call it, is what I like to call a living blood vessel. And if you've ever been there, you know exactly what I mean. It is, in my tradition, Neotradition, whatever, the realm of the dead. So not only do we, when we die, go there, but people of all realms, except for, of course, the backwards realm itself, the inhabitants go to the backwards realm, or their, that part of their soul that becomes, like, dead and is dead goes there, which, again, that's a whole other video of the souls. But yes, basically, backwards world, where all that happens. And can't explain too much on the backwards world, but I can explain what I mean by the living blood vessel in a brief sense, not the whole bit, is that there's a lot of blood there. It's kind of like a bunch of rivers, but they're blood. I just thought I'd mention that because I actually really like that. I know that might seem scary to some people, but I really love that imagery. Nice job, universe. So, moving on, we'll go to the left world, which is opposite of our world, the right world. And it is ruled by the element of heat. Now, element of heat is about infinity, multiplication, plurality, and creation. All those kinds of things. It's about pretty much infinity, expansion. Expansion is a really big thing. And creation. All that kind of stuff. That vibe. So, the left world is It's what personally, I like to call it the weird world, because it's so opposite to our world. Everything is so different probably because we have different ruling elements that are like complementary elements, but everything's just so different there. The inhabitants are very much just opposite of us. I've spoken with inhabitants there. They think we're equally as weird and like, whoa, and crazy and all that stuff. So the left world, it's not the place of the dead. It's not our world. And I guess I would call it, I don't know, it's a really weird world. Is left world more like weird world? Okay, I'll explain more about it in another video, because if I rambled about it more, it'd take forever. Then we have the upper world. The upper world is home to, it's ruled by air. And I think that's the only element in my tradition that directly correlates with one of the traditional 4 elements. That's interesting, I just realized that. Anyway, it's ruled by air. And the people there, that rhymed, it's ruled by air. Now, the air element is the opposite of the soil element, obviously. And it is all about basically convention, regulations, systems, cleanliness, all that kind of stuff. Anything that falls under that kind of vibe umbrella is the air element. And basically, the people, the inhabitants, I should say, of the upper world are very reflected in that. It's a cloud world, so they live in like these weirdly opaque clouds with a weird sky, and below them is a bunch of just perfectly still water. And there's a whole system, there's a whole complex stuff up there, like in any world, but it's like a lot to explain at once, so I'm just gonna be really quick with that world and move on to our final one, which is the forward world. And the forward world is ruled by energy. So I call the people of this world juicy nymphs. I will not be explaining why, but if you knew why, you'd be like, that's such a great name. But I will not be explaining why. So they're called juicy nymphs to me, okay? So this world is ruled by energy. Energy is all about just constant movement, it's kind of like stillness, where it seems very self-explanatory, but it can mean a lot of different things. It can be excitement, and it could be mania. It could be ecstasy. It could be scrambling. Like, it could be so many things. It could be randomness. It could be just structured insanity. It could be all those. So the forward world is home to the juicy nymphs and is a very lush place from where I've been. It is exceedingly green and just filled with just random lushness, and like, I think Garden of Eden, but like crazy. Like, not the chill part of Garden of Eden, just like the setting. So now that I've explained all of kind of the world's elements and inhabitants, I'll explain their relations to each other. So, well, not in detail, but like just how this all kind of fits together. So, our world is basically kind of, I don't want to sound self-absorbed when I say this, but our world kind of has a reputation, and the reason I don't want to sound self-absorbed is A, because I'm not trying to be, and B, because it's not really like a good one. Like, it's not a bad one, but it's just like, you probably don't want to go there. It's like, you know how some people say you can't do that because you're a beginner? If there was a witch in a different world who wanted to travel, the elders of their world would be like, don't go there. You're a beginner, don't go there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of just, cold is a very destructive element. So, we have a lot of cold element. And literally. At least it hasn't snowed yet, though. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Basically, so there's that. For the forward world, it has a function of being very, well, obviously, energy incarnate. And with that comes pretty much, like, a lot of things come out of that world, okay? So a lot of spirits, actually, in my experience, come out of that world to other worlds, which I will explain more in the forward worlds on video. But that place, if you want to travel there, is what I'm trying to say. If you want to travel to the forward world, just be prepared for a lot of kind of randomness, and expect you to need some protection in the world. Like, obviously you're going to protect if you want to do anything with spirit flight, but once you're in the world, you also want something to protect you, like, physically, not our physically, but their physically. Upper world, pretty much, if you want to travel there, you need to get familiar with the your regions. You're gonna end up in a region. You're gonna have to get familiar with that region's norms and regulations, and you're gonna have to want a very specific goal in mind. You want a goal in mind every time you spirit flight, or do spirit fly, sorry. But especially with the upper world, if you're gonna go there, you want to know your goal so you can state it to people. I found that if you interact with the inhabitants and you're just like, I'm just here, you're gonna get you're gonna get like a nasty look, pretty much. And they may even, depending on the region, not let you partake in things, or like keep you out of things. And it's just not gonna be good. So just like have a clear goal that makes sense in mind, and just be very respectful is what I'm trying to say. The left world, honestly, I would say if you want to travel there, try and do it with a guide or a spirit, or whatever you want to call it, from, if you can't even if it's just from our world too, just having a buddy would be great in that world, because it's so different and weird for ours. You might get disoriented, not lost, but just like, it just might not, you might not get distracted even because of how weird it is, and not do your goal, or like what you came there to do, even if the goal is really simple. So it's good to have a buddy spirit, even from a different world, but even if they're from the same world, that's also okay. Just probably have like a buddy. Backwards world, I go there a lot to visit ancestors. Honestly, the realm of stillness, backwards world, I would say just be prepared emotionally, because it's a place of dead, and even though they may or may not really care too much or hold a lot of the grief we do, you're more than likely gonna visit someone who has grief attached to them through living beings, especially if they're your own dead, your own ancestors. So just be very emotionally prepared if you want to visit their underworld. Be prepared for anything, honestly. Just be very flexible and have a game plan if you want to travel there. Because I traveled there and I didn't get kicked out of the world. I was going to say I got kicked out and I realized how that sounds. I got kicked out of a place in that world and it was not good. So just be safe. Just be safe. So that's the worlds. I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't really have much else to say for an overview that would not take a lot of time and not be specific to one world. So that's kind of all I have today. Yeah.